Welcome to the BNI Knox podcast, helping members in the Knoxville, Tennessee region grow their business and make more money through the power of referrals. Now, here's your host, Andy Brassfield.
Hello, this is Andy Brassfield with BNI, and welcome to the BNI Knox podcast. Today, my co-host is Curtis Johnston.
Hello, sir.
How's it going?
Going very well.
I won't start by telling everybody how long we've known each other.
Please do not.
I think we were both a little younger back then.
Been a while.
A little bit skinnier. I was.
I was less gray. I was less gray at the time. I'll take that.
Yeah, so what I want you to know about Curtis is a member of the Gold Badge Club in BNI. And that puts him in the top 10% of BNI members worldwide. So we're really thrilled to have you with us. And Curtis, you've been in and out of BNI for a lot of years. Do you remember how long?
15. I joined in 2006.
Yeah.
Yeah, was selling office equipment at the time. And I got a great new job, and my new boss said, hey, welcome aboard. This is BNI, and you're going. And I said, all right, here we go.
Here we go.
And that was the fall of 2006, so 15 years.
15 years ago. Yeah, fantastic. And we served in the NRG chapter together. Mm-hmm. Now, I've been corrected. That's why I say NRG these days.
Okay.
But to those who are in the chapter, it's the energy chapter.
Yes.
That's right.
You don't break it up like NRG. It's the energy chapter.
Energy.
Yes.
Energy chapter.
They'll correct you. We will correct you.
Yes. And tell me about your business that you represent these days.
Sure. I work for Gallagher & Associates. We're a security monitoring, fire alarm monitoring, low voltage wiring, anything to do with security, protecting your business. Access control, secure access, key fobs, your key cards, keypads, anything that secures your business, we're involved in.
Fantastic. So we're really excited about having Curtis on the podcast with us today. And by the way, I want to remind you, wherever you're getting this podcast, we're putting it out in other places too. So all your favorite podcatchers, Apple, iTunes, whatever that's called, because I'm an Android guy. I get mine on an Android. Yes.
They didn't tell me that before I came on.
Too bad. It's too late. We've already started rolling. And you can go on YouTube and Facebook as well. So be looking for the podcast and share it with your members. By the way, the BNI Knox podcast is for you, the members of the BNI Knoxville region. We serve from Crossville to Tri-Cities, and we have 21 chapters currently that we're serving. So this is for you. And today, Curtis, we're going to talk about thank you for closed business.
Fantastic.
Yes. I've heard some people call it closed business. Mm-hmm. I've heard some people call it close of business.
Okay.
It's cool, whatever. Closed business. Let's abbreviate it to closed business maybe.
We'll do that.
What is thank you for closed business?
In my mind, it's identifying people who are bringing value to the chapter publicly and saying, hey, I want to thank you, number one. Everybody likes to be thanked. Mm-hmm. So thank you for helping me in my business, and here's a number we can associate with it. And then that number itself grows in the individual seats and then collectively as the chapter. So thank you for closed business, or closed business grows over the year. And people can look at that and be like, wow, this is why we're here. This is what we're doing.
So sometimes people outside of BNI, newcomers to BNI, because you and I both have been in it so long, I can't remember not being a member of BNI. Right. They come in and we start talking numbers. We start throwing numbers around. Mm-hmm. Well, we did, $16 million in business in 2019 in this region. And, worldwide we do $18 billion in business.
Wow. Big numbers.
Well, people want to know where these numbers come from. How do we figure that out, right? And my answer is thank you for closed business.
Starting at the individual seat is what you're saying.
It starts there.
The little drops that you and I and we all put those numbers in, and then it grows to show the larger value on a grander scale to BNI.
Yeah, dropping it in the bucket.
That's right.
So like you said, it adds up. So first of all, when your vice president does the vice president's report, and has that board up at the front of the room, and they're talking about the numbers on here. Well, this week we did X dollars, and this year so far we've done Y dollars, X plus whatever. And listen, some of our chapters have now exceeded $4 million. Some of our local chapters have exceeded $4 million in a year.
Big numbers.
Well, you know what that does to their per member seat value? Now, this is a number that we...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. $4 million, 30-something members, almost $150,000 per member.
That's
If you
great.
average that out.
Yeah.
These numbers come directly from our members who report the closed business. So in breaking that down, when someone gives you a referral and that turns into closed business, then you turn that number in on the app,
Correct.
the BNI Mobile Connect app.
That's correct.
Yeah.
It's very easy to use.
Yeah, turn it in before your meeting and on the app, and then those numbers add up, okay? But here's the deal. I have conversations with people, and they're like, well, should I turn this in as closed business?
Oh,
Should I turn that in as closed business? I'm not sure. I don't know what to turn in. So that's one reason why I want to have the podcast today is I'd like to kind of clarify some of this what
sure.
and when and how and some of that stuff. Because
Okay.
some people are into some, right? So I wanted to take you back to my days at Southeastern Laser.
Oh, the good old days.
The good old days. I spent over a quarter of a century in that business.
Wow, you are old. I'm sorry.
It just came out, didn't
That was for the fat joke earlier.
Yes, I deserve it. That's for sure. But I spent a lot of years in that business, and primarily we sold toner and ink cartridges.
Correct, yeah.
Well, that wasn't something that was a once and done.
Right.
That was something that our customers and clients would buy on a repetitive basis. Some of them were buying very frequently, so we knew that every month we could count on them making some
X
purchases.
number of dollars.
Yeah.
Got it.
Some people, they didn't use as much, maybe once or twice a year. All right.
Okay.
But if you gave me a referral and I picked up that client, then what do I turn in as closed business? Well, since it's a transactional type business,
Right.
then what I determined to do for myself in order to give proper credit to my fellow members for the referrals that I received,
Yes.
monthly I would sit down and run a report of our business by client.
Right.
And somehow I could remember the ones that were referrals.
Okay.
And so I would just pick out the ones that were BNI referrals. Some of them were spin-off referrals.
Like another tier 2, tier 3, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, like when Lance brought this guy as a visitor,
Yeah.
and then I ended up doing business with Lance's visitor, I
Yes.
considered that a spin-off.
Sure.
You know, or if somebody referred me to somebody and then they referred me to somebody,
Yeah.
that's a spin-off.
Yeah.
And so I kept up with all that in our database. So do you have a database?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. So you have a database of clients. Listen, I don't care if it's a notebook. Have a database,
It's a database.
Of your clients. Okay? Have a database. And go back and look at where did this client come from.
Right.
Listen, if BNI does a lot more than just bring us referrals. For me personally, BNI has been a source of education.
Training, absolutely.
I feel like I have been to college and back 5 times within my BNI. Yeah.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah. And these things one of the things that I've learned is you have to know where your business is coming from.
I would agree.
So look at that client, and if you don't have something written down in your database, write it in there, find a spot. Where did that client come from? Often I would say BNI referral from Curtis Johnston.
Correct.
In my database, it'd be in there like that. And then if I'm going through my monthly report and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I don't remember where that client came from.
Right.
And I didn't want to miss the chance of turning in a thank you for closed business. I would drill down into that client to see where did they come from.
There you go. Yeah.
And if they were from a BNI referral, well, then of course they got included in my closed business numbers.
Smart.
Now I would divide them up by where did the referral come from. So if I got a referral from Curtis and one from Robert and one from Darren, each one of those were attributed to the correct member.
I would agree with that. I think it's important to not just say BNI, the chamber, open networking, but it's important to put a name specifically with them, because we could do a whole nother podcast about this. At the end of the year, you want to go back and thank the people who gave you business. And if it just says BNI, you don't know who in there gave it to you. But if you know it says Curtis Johnston, Andy Brassfield, which are where most of the referrals are coming from in Knoxville anyway, we know this.
Yeah.
Then they can go back and they can thank the people who deserve it. So yeah, get as specific as you can.
Have you thought about this? When you fail to give thank you for closed business, to the person who gave you the referral, how does it impact them when you fail to give proper credit for closed business to the other member?
If you're asking me, and I feel like you are, I've been on the receiving end of that. Years ago, I'd give away referrals, and I would never see the thank you for closed business pop up under my name.
Exactly.
And I would end up going back to these guys and gals and saying, hey, did that even work out? Oh, yes, I've been meaning to do that. I've been meaning to put that in. I'm going to sit down on Saturday and do it. And it would just never happen. And it wasn't like I didn't feel appreciated, because I do, but they didn't complete all the steps. So I feel like they're hurting me, they're hurting themselves, they're hurting the chapter as a whole.
Yeah. Who remembers this? I will follow up on referrals I receive.
And give.
And give. That's an energy thing. You got to be there. Well, listen, following up on the referrals I receive goes all the way through to thank you for closed business. Because, like you said, if those numbers are not going under the person who gave the referrals,
right,
then when the leadership team, namely the membership committee,
right,
goes to take a look at the PALMS report. Oh, how many of you are familiar with the PALMS report? On the PALMS report, there's a column labeled "Thank you for closed business." Yes. And the numbers in that column came from the members who thanked them for the closed business.
Correct.
What if there's a big old goose egg out there beside your name and the membership committee is taking a look?
Correct.
They're going to come to you and they're going to say, hey, Curtis, we'd like to offer you some coaching. And you're going to say, wait a minute, I'm helping they're selling the hound out of this stuff.
Right.
And they're not giving me closed business.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for closed business is more than just your own personal records.
Yes.
It's more than BNI's cumulative total. You know, some people resent turning in closed business because they feel that BNI is what's the word I'm looking for? Taking advantage of the numbers for their own gain. It's like,
I don't get that connection though.
BNI's up there, and I don't know if I don't want to have the. Well, it's not positive supportive attitude, I can tell you that.
That's true.
It's not everybody.
That's true.
But when people fail to report closed business, they're failing their fellow member, making that fellow member look bad.
Yeah, so forget about the overarching BNI, however you want to think about that. Think of the person sitting next to you. Think of the person who gave you the business. That's the person that you're helping, because you're making them look good in the PALMS report.
So let me ask you now about other types of business, other business models. Okay, I gave you an example of a transactional business. That was my example. Over the years, I could monitor transactions.
Sure.
But what other types of business models do we see that might cause somebody to ask, how do I report this?
I think the biggest one that comes to mind is real estate. You know, everybody wonders, do I put in the price of the house? Do I put in the commission that the broker made? Do I put in the commission that I made as the agent? So of all the questions I hear, that's probably the most popular one that I've heard.
I'd say that's probably pretty common. So let's look at a comparison here.
Okay.
We had an ink cartridge that sold for as low as $16 back in the day.
Okay.
All right. Somebody was to give me a referral, and I sold a $16 ink cartridge. I put in $16 for thank you for closed business.
Okay.
But what if you sold a house that was worth $100,000? Now, I realize that's an underpriced house or whatever.
Depends on who you're talking to. You don't know who's listening to this. That could be out of their reach.
It could be. $100,000 house, just arbitrarily speaking. And once the house sells, half the commission goes to the listing agent, and half the commission goes to the selling agent.
Right.
And then within that, the agent has to split it with the broker.
Right.
And who knows if the broker didn't loan the agent the money to get into the business in the first place,
Sure.
pay for their education, their certification, licensing.
Right.
How about all that advertising that they spent?
Overhead,
office personnel, office machines, toner.
Right. That's right.
Yeah. Okay. And at the end of the day, after selling that $100,000 house, the agent who sold it put $16 worth of commission in their own pocket.
All right.
So the question is, what does the agent report as closed business? $16, $100,000, or somewhere in between?
If I get it wrong, does the floor open and I fall through it?
I think the podcast will just automatically,
I would say that I would look at the money that I brought in. Maybe I have to pay my agent. Maybe I have to pay overhead. I've got to pay per click on the toner. But whatever came through my fingers, I think that's the number that I would put in. Never been a real estate agent. I think that's the number that I would put in. So if I get, it's a $100,000 house, 3%, the broker gets, and then I get this, I would put in my gross from the sale.
Okay, so I think the podcast ends right here because he got it wrong.
I've never been a real estate agent. I don't know you.
No,
I'm a salesperson, not a real estate agent.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. So let me add this first of all. First of all, the International Board of Advisors is reviewing constantly our policies and guidelines.
Okay.
All right. Some of these policies I happen to know are currently under review.
Very good.
That means that they could change from time to time.
Okay.
So you want to stay on top of the information that BNI provides, namely in the leadership team manuals as they come out and they revise them. Usually every 2 years I'll get a revised version of the leadership team manual. However, I kind of like the 2017 version. I'm sticking with it.
Okay, I like it.
The 2019 version, though, is out there. It sure is. And in that manual, they give specific guidelines of how this is to be approached.
Okay.
My first answer is this: seek that out. You can, if you're a member and you're in the real estate business, seek out that information from BNI University. It's out there. It's on BNI University. You can go get it yourself. Or you can come to one of our leaders. Go to your leadership team. Go to your ambassador or director, especially your director. That's what directors are there for. Reach up and reach out.
There you go.
And say, hey, look, I'm trying to find the information on this. But let's put it this way. Whatever money comes into your business
Yes.
by way of the referral,
Yes.
that's the money you want to report as closed business.
Okay.
So including what your broker gets.
Okay.
All right. So if $5,000 out of that $100,000 sale comes into the business that you represent,
yes,
then $5,000 is the number.
because $5,000 would not have come into that business if it wasn't for the BNI seat that I'm currently
And it pays
holding.
for overhead, and it pays for toner and ink, and it pays the light bill,
That makes more sense.
and the advertising, and all of this stuff that it pays for.
Yeah.
That's what we report.
Got it.
And so that's it is one of the most common questions that we have about how about banking, insurance, some of those outliers. I call them outliers. Okay, you need to look it up. Banking is different, insurance is different, but for most of our members, should I dare say 90% as a guess of our members, you simply report the price of the sale.
That makes sense to me.
If you're a plumber like Wayne Pearson and you do a $100 job, maybe you went and fixed somebody's toilet. I'm just speaking from personal experience here.
I wish it was here.
Then $100 is the amount of the sale. $100 is the amount of thank you for closed business, and it gets credited to the member who passed him that referral.
Correct.
And that's how it all works out.
Correct.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
So we sometimes have subscriptions. We have how about bartering? I'm a member of a bartering association.
Great.
And sometimes people wonder, well, do we count that? Well, let me ask you this: how does Uncle Sam count it?
He counts it all.
He counts it all. So if you're paying taxes on it, then definitely you can turn that in as closed business.
Nice.
Were there any other questions about closed business that you think that we need to answer before we get off the air?
A point that I would probably like to stress is using your model of the Southeastern Laser, where you would go through it every month and put it in. That is the prime way to do it. I do know some folks who do it on a quarterly, 6 month, or yearly, which is fine because it eventually hits the
Palms report.
Thank you. It eventually hits the Palms report, but then that's one transaction. And once the Palms report gets out past that rolling 12 months, that number drops off. So if you did it on a more consistent basis, your Palms report number for your club is always going up. Whereas if you just have that blip in the radar,
Yeah.
So I would just encourage people to do it monthly and frequently.
And be consistent about it.
Be consistent.
And remember that it benefits the other member who gave you the referral.
Correct.
That's why we turn it in, is to benefit them.
It's not about us.
Fantastic. Well, listen, it's been great having you on the podcast today.
Thanks.
I want to remind all of our members that Member Extravaganza is right around the corner. The Member Extravaganza goes from April through May, and this is the time of year that we hold a contest, and who sponsors the members will get entered in. There's a lot of details, but here's the prize is a cruise, just like we did last year. Jeff Jeter went on the cruise to the Bahamas.
No kidding.
Yeah, he won it in our
nice.
region, and so and again, it's regional.
Okay.
So somebody in our region, provided that we get enough participation, somebody in our region is going on a cruise.
Excellent.
Yes. So there'll be more information
I need more
about
info
that.
on that.
It's coming.
All right.
It's not March just yet, or even April.
No. It's barely February.
Yes. And I want to also remind you, U.S. National Conference is at the end of March, 26th through the 28th in Denver, Colorado. And you are invited to attend. If you'd like to have more information on that, reach out to your director or to my office. Either one. We'll be glad to have you with us out there. Thank you to Mike Fuller Realty for hosting us in the studio today, and to Front Porch Media, Darren Cooper, for being the man behind the scenes and taking care of all of this audio, visual, video,
world,
all of that kind of stuff like that. And thank you, Curtis, for being here with me.
Thanks for having me.
I think I'm going to invite you back for another week.
I would love it.
Yeah.
It'd be awesome.
Only I didn't tell you to bring a change of clothes or anything like that. So
we can go shirts and skins.
You might be wearing the same jacket next month. Yeah, or next week. All right, I'm Andy Brassfield with BNI, with Curtis Johnson. We're signing off. See you next time.
Thank you.